Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. For today's tutorial, I'm going to look at SQL joins. Now I've been getting a lot of DMs on LinkedIn and also on Instagram asking to explain how SQL joins work. So in SQL, there are several different joins. We have natural joins, self joins, non-equi joins. You also have outer joins, which are the left outer join, right outer join, and full outer join. And you also have Cartesian join. So for this tutorial, I'm going to start off with natural join. So let's say, for example, you want to pull information from several different tables to a single query. You can do that using SQL join. So on my screen right now, if you look on the left side of the screen, I have two different databases. I have the HR user database and I also have a database called NikiDB. We are going to use the HR user database for this tutorial. So if I go ahead and press on the plus button, I have a list of tables on the table section. So I have a country, department, employee, job history, jobs, locations, and region. Let's say we want to find some information about a specific employee in a specific location. So we want to find the employee first name, the employee last name, maybe the department name, and let's also find the city and the location. We will need to use several different tables to pull data from. First, if we want to find the first name and the last name, we definitely need to go under the employee table, because under the employee table, we have first name and last name. We also want to find the department name for that employee as well. Now, if you take a look under the employee table, we have several different tables, but department name is not under the employee table. We have a department ID. So we need to use the departments table to find that information. So if I click on the plus button, we can join these two tables together to get information by using the department ID, because there is a department ID in the department table and there is a department ID in the employee table. The next thing we want to look for is the city and the location. So we definitely need to go in the locations table. In the location table, we have the city and we also have location ID. Now we can get data from this table because location ID is also in the departments table, which can help us to join those two tables together. So let's go ahead and write a query to get that data from the tables, joining each table together. So the first thing we want to do, we're going to use the select statement, and we want the first name and the last name from the employee table. So what I'm going to do to get that information, I'm going to create an alias. And to create an alias, you can use a letter or you can use a keyword. For me, I find a letter is very simple. And what I do with the letters, based on the tables that I'm using, I would use the first letter of that table. So let's say, for example, I have the employee table. I'm going to use E as my alias. So E would let me know that I'm trying to retrieve data from the employee table. So I'm going to say E dot and the column that I want to get the data from. So I want the first name, comma. I also want the last name that is under the employee table. So I'm going to say E dot last name. Actually, let me make this a little bit more readable. So I'm going to bring it down. I'm also going to bring this one down as well. So I want the first name, the last name, which are coming from the employee table. And I want to find the department name. So for the department name, I'm going to use the first letter of that table. So the first letter is D. So I'm going to say D dot, and I want to find department name. And I want to find the city and the location. So the city and the location is located in the locations table. So I'm going to use L for location. So I'm going to say L dot, and I want to find city. And I also want L dot, and I want to find the country ID. So all of these are columns inside of the table. So now that I have all the columns that I want, I'm going to go ahead and write the query to pull that data together or to join that data together. And this is the important part of the join. So first thing I want to do you have to use your from clause. So I'm going to say from, and the from tells us which table we are pulling that data from. So from the employees table, and you'll have to give your alias. So we use E as the alias for the employee table. So we're going to say from employees E, we're going to join departments. So we're going to say join departments. And the reason why we are joining departments with employee, if we go back, if we look under the employee table, we have employee ID, and we also have a department ID, and we have a department ID in the department table as well. We can join those two tables together using department's ID, and then we're going to use D. And D is our alias that we created right here. After that, we're going to use the using clause. We're going to say using, and right after the using, I'm going to put my open parenthesis and close parenthesis. And inside of the parenthesis, or inside of the brackets, we're going to say department ID. So we have joined the employee table, and we also joined the department table using the department ID. So the last thing we need to do, we need to get data from the location table. So if we go under the location table, there's a column called location ID, and we will use the location ID to join to the department table, because under the departments table, we also have a column called location ID. We want to join locations. Locations is the name of the table, and we want the alias for location. So we can say locations L, and for locations L, we're going to say using, in a parenthesis, we want to use location ID. And that's all you have to do to join data from different tables using natural join. So let's go ahead and run the query, and we got back all of the information that we wanted. Now we can narrow down the search if we want to. So let's say we want to find all of the employees that works in the US. So we can go ahead and say where, and so we can say where country ID is equals to, and we want US. So let's run the query again, and we got back all of the employees in the US. You can also pull out all the employees that works with the company who is in department 50. So we can go ahead and say where department ID equals 50. We run it, and we got back all the employees in department 50. A quick note, you cannot use the column that you are using to join the tables together. You cannot use it in the select statement. For example, you cannot use department ID in the select statement, or you cannot use location ID in the select statement. Let me prove this to you. I'm going to copy this line of code, and I'm going to paste it here. So instead of saying department name, I'm going to put department ID, and it will give me an error because we are using the department ID for the join, and you cannot do that. That is forbidden in SQL. So I can, when I press the run button, I got back the error. And if you read what the error said, it says column part of using clause cannot have qualifier. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the department ID, and I'm going to run the query again, and we got back the clean data that we want, or the clean query. So that's using the using keyword. Now we can use the on clause or the on keyword. So I'm going to delete these lines, and I'm going to use the on clause. So let's say, for example, I want to find the manager ID. So I'm going to say manager underscore ID, and I want it from employee E. I want to join departments D, which is D, my alias, and I'm going to use the on clause this time and say on. Inside of the parentheses, you want to give the alias, so we can say E dot department ID, and we want the E dot department ID equals to D dot department ID. So I'm going to go ahead and run the query, and we got back all of the information that we needed. So that's how you use the join in SQL. Thank you for watching. If you find this video useful, please subscribe, like, share the video, and I will see you guys in the next tutorial.